What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Unreal Engine 5 game development live stream, where we're back in our Deck Knight project, a game built from scratch using Unreal Engine 5, C++, blueprints, the gameplay abilities, plugin, and all of that good stuff. So today we're, of course, back at it with our projectile pooling system. We're on the cusp of greatness. We're almost done. I think probably another week or two, but we're getting there. And so today I want to continue working on the async task to be able to spawn projectiles and be able to spawn projectiles, but also do it with a delay, which we have some form of it working. It's not perfect, but we have it for our enemy here. We will spawn a circle around him with 20 projectiles, which is great. You know, that's kind of what we want. We want to have some flexibility on how we're spawning these things within one reasonable request, right? That's the main thing, where we just do one request asynchronously and we get some information about it. So there's some things I think don't work. That's what we're going to test through and try to figure out today. First, on finished, I want to have all the projectiles that we spawn in here unfinished so that we could maybe do something with them. But we would also, when a projectile spawn, also bind into it. So we can do like a sign and then whatever we want. So we have on hit, on lifetime, if we ever wanted to do something like that. But I would like to also get all the projectiles. But also, I believe with this implementation, when we spawn these, it's still going to give me 20 listeners, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, see, we're getting all these listeners. So I know that's also a problem. So we're going to fix that. And once we can get those two working, I then want to introduce either like a value for when we don't have a shape defined and we just kind of default it to like, you know, straightforward, or we define a line shape and we also can use that if we wanted to. So let's look at the event listener. So I believe I know what's going on. So if we look at the code, I'll have to zoom it out a little bit just to see everything. But yeah, so when we activate, we're getting the pooling system, we're reserving what we need to do, and then we construct everything. So pretty much it means that we're reserving everything and we're getting all the transforms and stuff, and then we get to here and we spawn next projectile, right? So when we spawn the next projectile, that's where we do all of that good stuff, where we spawn and claim. So we spawn and claim, and then we eventually get to where is it that we do the event listener? So unfinished, see, we have this, but also it's not returning spawn projectiles, which I don't know why, but we'll see. So let's look for event listener. So spawn and claim projectile, we get to here, and then we are constructing that stuff, which I don't think we want to do. We want to do claim. We want to do claim projectile from pool. And then pretty much all the stuff that we do outside of that, like, and then we would just need to kind of add all this stuff, right? So we may need to, like, you know, well, I guess we can add all the projectiles in there, right, when they're done, like. So, because we have the reserves and we have all this and we have all that, and we could, the spawning and claiming is one thing, right? Because that is getting it and claiming it, right? So what do we do for the shape, actually? So we're doing more or less this. We get all that, we go all that, right? but we do eventually call spawn and claim, or just claim projectile from pool and then do all that and then do all that. So let me split and move to the right. So, because what I'm thinking is on activate, we're doing all this, then we get to reserve, right? So we already have a projectiles that we're, I believe, getting, right? It's a const, but it's also a reference. I don't know if we're actually doing anything. So we might want to, yeah, we have a spawn projectiles here, right? And then, you know, eventually we're doing all that, we're doing all that, we're doing all that. I don't know if we're ever doing anything with, yeah, here you go, spawn projectiles.add, right? So I'm thinking we don't need to do all that when we're spawning. When we start, yes. So I think we gotta do like projectiles, yeah, spawn projectile reserve. So let me grab you. Big Sexy in the house. Oh, hell yeah, brother. How you doing, man? How you doing, Bill? So to spawn transform, so we're reserving those things. So that's what that's doing. Then we gotta do just construct shape transforms, which we are here. And then we have all that. So at this point, this is where we need to simply claim projectile from pool internal, which I believe is the only real difference here. Where, oh, instead of doing it like this, we just do spawn and claim internal. But I think we should also be able to do something like this, right? Like, so essentially, I guess there has to be a separation of us getting the projectiles and claiming them and reserving them and getting a reference to them versus anything else, right? So we could have, but this is a claim projectile from pool, right? And it's basically doing all that and then instantiating everything, which we don't necessarily need it to do. So maybe there's also room for separating this out, because claiming from pool could maybe just be like literally just that, you know, or I should say literally just that. And then there could be another function that spawns it, you know, and spawning in this case is sending the instigator, appending all this information, and then instantiating projectile data. We do all that, and then we start going, right? Because like what, you know, I'm already forgetting what I'm doing, but like, what's the order of operations really? Like spawn and claim projectile. So all that stuff, and we would just return the projectile at that point. So really, like to me, it's all this that's kind of handling that. And so yeah, when we instantiate everything, that's where you start getting shit to go. So like, maybe there's different layers that I can do, where a claim and projectile from pool is literally just claiming it. And if we do that, then we don't need a lot of these parameters. So we could make a duplicate for this. And we could just say activate. From pool, but then we're also going to need to pass in the projectile itself. So is it? No, it's a GS projectile. Projectile activate. And then for this internal, I think we really just need that. And of course, you know, by doing this, we're going to have to refactor a bunch of shit, but let's deal with circumstances later. So there's that. And then go here, generate it, get here, paste, put this as this, and then it needs to return. So, I mean, I guess it doesn't have to be of type, I guess, I think it could just be void. I don't know if it needs to be a boolean. I don't know if that matters. So we're basically activating that projectile. And so how does it work? How would it look in this context? Because I feel like it would have to be actually passed by reference, and not as a pointer. Not the right one. No, it doesn't like that. Okay, so it's wanting it to be a pointer. So then the order of operations is a GSC projectile equals, and then it's literally just claim projectile from pool internal. So this should be valid. So we get to here, and then we add it, and then we just do this event listener, and then I guess we just have to say activate projectile from pool. So new projectile, like that, and that's sort of it. And then, so in theory, then we should be able to have kind of that separation where I can say, as like a for loop, I could say, or I could maybe handle the claim, like, because when I say claim, maybe I can do the iteration there myself. No, but I mean, maybe there's claim projectile from pool internal, and then maybe there's like a version of like claim projectiles, and you tell it how many you want, and it'll give them to you. And I feel like I would also need to make sure they're properly reserved. So I guess I would have to say something, maybe, because I do get available projectile. I think that, yeah, that handles adding everything to the pool. So that works fine. So I could have a new function DRA. Yeah. I would say claim projectiles from pool. And it doesn't have to be internal or anything. But then I would just have to say that so something like that. Thank you, AI, for filling out that. So I should be able to then just say, hey, claim these. And it will handle the iteration itself. So then I'm hoping I can simply say, you know, spawn projectiles, or spawn projectiles equals that. So now they're all reserved. And I have the event listener, everything's Gucci, I would hope. So we only do this once, and then when we get to spawn projectile, all this stuff is already kind of there for us, but we should be able, and we don't have to say this either. Like, we should just be able to say this much. I'm just gonna do that. And then instead of saying this, we just say activate from pool. So right now it's saying, you know, it's claiming all of them, so we're definitely gonna have to rewrite this part because we have them all kind of reserved. So what I would need to say is, yeah, cast course projectile spawn thing, and then we say, I guess we can have like a failsafe. If not projectile for whatever reason, no return. But then we say projectile. Oh, I should say pooling system, activate from pool, and then it's a lot of the same stuff, except it starts with projectile, something like that. So hopefully that's okay. And then we keep going, then we say if delay is, so I don't know why we're doing here, why we would spawn next projectile here. I feel like, well, I know why, because I mean, if the spawn delay is less than or equal to 0, that just means we're going to spawn them all at the same time. So that seems okay. I'm still not convinced that I'm going to get that's going to work, but we're going to find out, I suppose. But let's look at the remaining errors here, because now we have claim projectile from pool. Here is that. But then we have to say, yeah, this instead. So there's quite a bit of changes. Let's see if it compiles. How's everybody's week so far? How are you doing, Bill, if you're still there? I'm thinking about visiting this year, for sure. Like, I want to see you guys. I miss you guys. So hopefully we can make that happen. I've just been very tired and, you know, not sociable as of late. I feel you, bro. I've been playing like mad games. I've been working on this game a lot, you know. So I'm having a good time in that sense of it. Yeah, 30 is a strange time. Yo, man, I'm almost halfway to 40, so I'm gonna just let you know that. Say that out loud. That sucks. All right, so let's see if I broke shit, which is likely. So yeah, we still don't have this. We're the same age, man. So let's see if this still works. Well, do we get 20 spawned how it was before? We do. And do I get damaged? I do. Do we only get one event listener? Is the next question. Did I at least fix that? Yeah. That's great. Okay, so I need to figure out. Oh, we got the kitty again. She's feeling adventurous. Hey, boo boo. You can't really see her, but she's looking cute. Best believe. I'll have to wait to see how she's gonna maneuver around here. Got a little crusty in your eye. There we go. So what I'm running into now, like we have these, you know, callbacks here, but like, am I only able to do one of these at a time, or is it because the signature is wrong? Hey. Hopefully she'll nap and just chill. So what I'm kind of thinking and asking about is, like, this delegate is returning a reference, so maybe that's just not what it needs to be doing. Oh, she's back down. Okay. So let's see. While that's compiling, I'm looking at spawn and claim projectiles in shape, right? And we eventually get to where we construct the shape transforms. And we do checks, right? If it's this, do that. If it's this, do that. If it's that, do that. So I don't know how to check if the instance struct is at all valid. I guess I have to say, like, you know, if maybe I could just have an else at the end and then handle like the line. But yeah, one thing at a time. We're making good progress though, honestly. Okay, so signature error does not match this. It has the delegate function been changed. Can I refresh? No, still a problem. So my assumption is then I need it to be a reference, but so how's the other signature set up? I guess. Because we have on projectile spawned, on finished. And if we go down here, after each spawn, we eventually get to where's the delegate? 'Cause that's on destroyed, and that's on the finish. So it must be somewhere in here, right? Yeah, this one, right? So am I not broadcasting? Yeah, on finish.broadcast spawn projectiles. So do I also have to make this like a reference? So that it matches the signature 1-to-1? Not sure. Let's find out. So that, yeah, once we lock this in, we can create the line shape, or just like the single forward, and then we can quickly add gameplay events. There's just going to be tags that we should be able to respond to. Okay. So it's upset about this. So that can't be the answer. So I'm just curious. Can there only be one signature? Because like hide pin, auto create, blueprint internal use only, owning ability, yeah, display name, yeah, whatever. Then there's owning ability, shape, count, projectile data, additional fragments. I don't know, honestly. Let's see. So the delegates and factory functions are currently private. Is that also the problem? Cons to erase stuff, so see if we, no, we're gonna get the same problem, right? Because it's cons properties are not supported unless they don't have to be a U property. Oh, if I did that just in time, though. Let's try a rebuild one more time. Okay, so still no bueno. Function is missing. So I guess it can't be const, right? Fifth time's the charm. Let's do it. I have faith this time. Ah, faith has been misplaced. So, what else is it complaining about now? What must be initialized? So, spawn projectiles and shape spawned projectiles must be initialized. Why, though? It's again that. Must be a U property again? Am I going like in fucking circles? I don't know. Hey Talos, it's going good. We're working on an ability task to be able to spawn our projectiles with a delay, just so we can get more interesting outcomes. So yeah, still on the projectile pooling system, unfortunately. I see the light at the end of the tunnel. After we get this async task node looking the way I want to, I just want to make sure we can support not a line shape, but just like, you know, single shape would be able to shoot forward if you wanted to. And then I just want to introduce some gameplay events about the ricochets and the hits and everything, and then we should be okay, at least for today. And then I need to re-add AoE spawning, and then we're done. We just gotta re-implement the old projectiles, and we should be okay. I'm back, bro. I've been having a lot of fun on my project, though. I've been stuck for the last 2 days, two-handed weapons, so that's cool. Yo. That's awesome. What kind of two-handed weapons are we working on? Okay, if we refresh, yeah, see, we're still not getting this, unless I have to do respawn projectiles and shape of delay. Yeah, still no, like, array of projectiles. I'm assuming this will not compile, right? This rifle VR stuff, the two hands is confusing me. True. But what is it about? Like, does the signature need that in order to compile? See, I'm struggling with ability tasks like always. But it also says after changing it, close the editor, delete binaries, intermediate if needed, rebuild, recreate. So it's saying I need to do a bunch of shit to get this thing to update correctly. So I don't know. Or maybe I should try it. We're kind of back at it. So I guess we could try. So we need to do this. closed, do intermediate and binaries. Do a regenerate. I've gotten so lost in blueprints, I wish I would have started in regular C++. I mean, I feel like either way, there's going to be confusion. I feel like blueprints is just a visual, intuitive way to try to learn like the library of options that you can then explore deeper in C++. Obviously, if you start with C++ and going into blueprints, it's going to make your life easier, but it just depends what you feel like you want to be more comfortable with. Because if you have an engineering background, then yeah, maybe you should start with C++. I myself, I'm just a designer. I'm stupid. So I started with Kismet and blueprints. Now I'm finally, I should have gotten into C++ a long time ago, but you know, I've just been lazy. So now we're going to have to let this index for a bit, and then we just hope that that worked. I'm feeling the music at the moment in my bed. Of course, yeah, the sun's going to be coming our way soon. So we might have to close the curtains a bit. I saw some darkness for a little bit. Okay. Let's see what happens when we try to compile now. Now that we have a little bit of darkness, we can put on some of the lights. I know that didn't really make a difference for you guys, but you know, there's some purple now. Ugh, I just got to compile a bunch. That's fine. Is everyone excited for their weekend coming up? I myself, I'm going to Lithuania. Should be a good time. Never been, so I don't know what to expect. Okay, so we compiled successfully, so let's just see what the damage is on this signature. I'd like to think this would work, but the voice inside my head is saying no. But could be wrong. Summer heat is coming. I hate it. True. Yeah, it's fucking hot as hell here. We're chilling in like 30 degrees. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. I guess it's like 80 something maybe. So it's not terrible, but you know. Europe don't like air conditioning, so yeah, we're still struggling. The struggle is real. Unless I do spawn projectiles with really no, still a problem. And if I plug it in, yeah. So what? What is required to get that to work? Is it the name? Or not sure. Like, what if I were to just make one of these? Did that change anything? Like, I still get confused on, or it's unclear for me right now where we're actually letting this delegate be present on here. Because, like, it's not in this top level function declaration. We'll see. We'll see what we get. But it's just the fact that it's blueprint assignable. Okay. So spawn down shape. Yeah, so see, now I have this. And does that compile? No. So signature error, the function unfinished does not match the necessary signature as the delegate change. So like what? Like what about it changed though? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Let's see. No, we're not even getting the... What the fuck is going on? Like, this stuff is so confusing. Like, I had to... Like, here's that, right? Like, do I have to, like, just write it from scratch again? My T array, does it have to be a pointer? Can it be, like... no. Can it be const T array pointer? And there's going to be problems in here, I assume, right? Or is it the fact that one existed on the graph? I don't know. I need to create chain visual effect between a projectile and a player because I have no idea how to do this with Niagara. Should I do instant static meshes? I mean, that's an option for sure. You know, you got your two endpoints, you just generate meshes in between. It just depends on, you know, does the visual have to have any sort of physicality to it? Or is it pretty brief? But yeah, with Niagara, it's... What are they called? Because there should be some examples of Niagara doing things like that. I just forget what they're called. Shape delay here. Is this like... Is this forever broken? Yeah, beam effect. Thank you. Yeah, is it not a beam? Delete this again. I'll save. Close out of it. Close the editor, rebuild C++. So it doesn't like that I'm trying to make this a const T array, but whatever. Trying to think of the logic for my grabbing. What kind of grabbing are you talking about? Just grabbing a weapon? I only know how to make minor changes that exist in Niagara effects. That's fair. Same. Currently going through, like, if I grab with trigger hand first, then go to grab with barrel hand, it's next to my support. Out of my trigger hand, I have to grab barrel first, then trigger. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm kind of hyper-focused at the moment on this frickin' task. Ah! I'm about to throw hands. Like, what the fuck is going on? Alright. Fuck this. Gonna rage quit. that. I'm going to do the binaries and intermediate again. Generate Visual Studio project files. Reopen Writer again. We'll compile again. And we'll see if we can place this thing in the graph again. Forgot to sub to low-key. Hey, no worries. No need to feel pressured to subscribe or anything. It's all good. Would appreciate it though, but you're good. Like, I only get to stream for, like, 2 hours every couple days, and, like, when I deal with Unreal just being a dickhead, it gets me so frustrated sometimes. But maybe I'm the problem. How long do you think you got before you'll declare yourself as semi-satisfied? I'm hoping in the next couple of years. So it's indexing, so let's just build this bish. Yeah, time to AI. Yeah, well, I mean, I use AI to help me with the code sometimes. I know I shouldn't. I know I'm kind of crippling my own learning by doing so, but sometimes I just want to see progress and move forward and not get stuck on a single problem for too long. Yeah, the game dev education journey I don't think ever ends, and you'll always have imposter syndrome. You always think you know everything until you meet other people who know way more than you, and then you kind of repeat that cycle until you die. No, can you use AI at work? I don't know what I'm allowed to say or not, so no answer. I plead the Fifth Amendment. Yeah, I mean, there will always be, I don't know the word is, like, stipulations, I guess, or just negative connotations towards AI. Like, there's always gonna be, however you want to call it, like the boring parts or the difficult parts of anything. But I guess depending on the kind of person you are, I find myself this way sometimes, where the difficult part It's what makes the whole experience worth it when you do get to that good part, you know? You've earned the result that you received, you know? So obviously when it comes to like organization stuff or very, very trivial stuff, maybe that's one argument against it, you know? But, you know, kind of working towards and debugging, you know, systems and stuff, like, using AI will cripple you because you won't understand what's going on. And then if something breaks or you want to modify it, you either have to hope that the AI can fix it or you're kind of shit out of luck, you know? On all projectiles spawned. So why is that not happy? Map resolve symbol. So, oh, because it's multicast. So it's declare dynamic multicast. No? What's the syntax of this thing? Declare dynamic multicast delegate. Okay. One param. Now you should be happy. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Have you heard of Tokyo Spliff? No, I have not. Who or what is that? Hey gang, let's see. Still a problem? Yes. Um, I'm throwing a tantrum at this point. Am I supposed to do something? Am I supposed to like get copy and then it compiles? No. Like I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Like what is it that's wrong about that signature that makes it think it's not compatible? Like that's so bizarre. And I feel like I'm gonna be stuck in a loop. Yeah, maybe I'll check him out. Seems like way smarter than me. I can't even get a fucking ability task delegate signature correct for an hour. Sorry, I'm raging a little bit. You better than me? Probably not. We're all the same. TikTok. I got hardcore TikTok brain, honestly. Let's see. Because I suspect that it's still not going to work, but let's try. So delay, shape, I should say, shape. So we have this, and yeah, still nothing. I'm going absolutely bonkers. So F, I'm tired. I'm tired, boss. But yeah, I might have to start asking AI a little bit. It's like no matter what I do, it keeps giving me the thing. Oh. Synchronous nodes can be stubborn with array of object delegate parameters. Is that true? That's true. That's fucking stupid. Let's see. Shape. Yeah. I'm praying. Yeah. No. Ooh. Okay. But let's try what they're suggesting, which is to do a struct instead. So if I were to do a use struct, I guess it's blueprint. I think it's fine. It's definitely not going to be like that, right? I can be like this, and then we'll say, so we can say FGASC spawn projectiles, and in here it's what you property. I don't know if it has to be T array like that, or if it needs to be, yeah, T object pointer. That. And then we can literally just say, so spawn, wait, so FGASC projectiles, right? And then we do that, and then in here we just have to do what? We have to make this, so F. But does it like it if it's a struct? I guess we'll find out. But I haven't really seen it. Let me just Google this. UE5 C++ multicast delegate with array parameter. I mean, there's this advanced delegate C++ site. Can I make a parameter of like a tier array? Okay, let's see. Spawn, shape with delay. So here's our projectiles. File. Yeah. Okay. That's cool. Did that actually work? Let's find out. I'm just going to say print string break. I guess I could do length, and we should get 20. But I guess that's good to know. Let's see. Yeah, it's printing all of the names for some reason. I guess it's because of this print string, I think. But yes, so this tells me there's multiple of those then being spawned. So did I break something else this time? No, it's still just the one. Let me disconnect that pin. Are we still getting a bunch of those prints? No. Okay, so I think that's fine. Every time we're spawning it, we're getting that, which I think is fine. Well, how you make the blueprint pins curve sharply like that? It's plugins. It's I think the electronic nodes plugin, and then I also have darker nodes plugin, so it just gives you like nicer looking plugins. Not plugins, just nodes. Okay, so now we got that working. Can I also have the other one where it's like declare? Am I spelling that right now? So declare and F immediate. Okay, so we should also change this. Hopefully it's not going to give me problems, but F I'm tired. We could say F on all projectiles spawned. And then F on projectiles spawned. And this one could be pointer. Say all projectiles, and that's a single projectile, and then fix that, copy all this, that in, so on single projectile spawned, on single. Sure. And then back in here, we need to actually call it. So I guess I deleted it, which maybe I shouldn't have did. But on spawn projectile, we eventually get here, right? So yeah, I can do that. Let's see. Fingers crossed, gang. And hopefully that's it. We can move on. And what we'll move on to, like I said, just being able to spawn in a singular line. So I don't know if we want to make like a line shape, because that might be misleading. Or if it should be kind of clear, like if there's no shape provided, it just uses the forward of the instigator. And I don't know if we would ever want to cache that forward for whatever reason. Okay. So we still don't get the other parameter. So I'm not too sure why. Does it only allow, like, does it have to be the same struct? Like, do I need to be updating the struct? Let's just try that instead. I don't like that, but whatever. Okay. Something tells me maybe I need to have a private one here. Down here. That maybe? Maybe that's okay? Maybe on activate as well? I don't know. Let's see if this works. And we'll try to prove that this works with some print strings and stuff like that. And then, since we've already been going for almost an hour and a half, I might just have to just simply add some event tags for now and do the rest next week. But we're getting close, I swear. And then once we're done with this, you know, there's a whole other can of worms about area of effect that I want to refactor too, but I feel like I need to make more progress with the actual weapons and add more cards and, you know, try to work more on the general loop. Because I just fell into this rabbit hole for like a month. So let's see if we can prove this concept by saying and so I should get the name of the projectile and then 0 until the very last one, and then I should get 20. At least that's my expectation and hope. So let's see. So yeah, 0, 0, 0, 0, and then 20. Yep. So cool. So that seems to work. And then essentially what I can do is, you know, on all projectile spawned, we end the ability. So we can just make sure we get that. And then bam, right? So I'm happy with that. And it seems like a pretty compact thing here, right? Let me just do the shape as well. So let me now go back into the projectile pooling subsystem where we do the spawn transforms. Because it is a void. So I guess I can simply say what? Return. Well, no, return after the for loop, right? So and so the assumption then is if I make it here, I want to can I instantiate a whole array with the same value? I think I can. I could probably also add some debugging stuff later down the line, but again, that's also just a can of worms, right? So f vector spawn direction equals, and then spawn position would need to be something here. So I would need to say, you know, spawn origin equals instigator, yeah, that, like that, right? So it doesn't like that because what? It's const, right? So we might need to just make our own. So f vector origin. You fixed it, kind of. Awesome. I'll have to ask AI how to write this. How to instantiate all elements of a F transformed array with the same value. But now I can't grab trig if support hand grabs barrel first, but it's somewhere. You know, progress is progress. So I could say what in it. I guess. Let's also just do the event tags while we're here. So we need to go into ability system or native gameplay tags and do the same for the header file. So we need to go to, we have some events, right? Yeah. We can make it a separate section here. UE declare. So event on projectile. It. On projectile ricochet. Event on projectile. Ricochet, projectile. So maybe finished? I don't know if that's the best way to say it, but then we can go here. We can probably do the version with the comment, right? So I'm going to grab you, go down to our events. So we'll do, so event dot projectile dot on hit. Instigator receives event when projectile hits something. Event returns array and the projectile responsible. So I'll just need to make sure I actually do that. And I'm curious if this can be done in the subsystem too, but okay, and then last but not least, so eventually we'll get to what those are to find later. Yeah, but doing what you said, going through all the mechanics, but if the guns was this bad, I don't want to even think about making the gun parts work. Yeah, I mean, you know, you do have to, you know, you gotta work enough to make whatever you're working on, whatever mechanics feel good enough so that you don't hyperfixate on something that you later find out doesn't pair well with other mechanics, which, you know, I'm gonna be dealing with, right? Because I'm just working on projectiles for no fucking reason. But the idea is there. Like, I want to just provide myself with enough structure and systems so that I can just bulk create cards and enemies in different configurations that make them interesting and fun. Hopefully fun, quote unquote. And then, you know, make cards that can work on top of that, you know? And so my enemies for like the time being can still be just dummies, or I can just make cube enemies that have the behaviors that I want, like cubes that stay away and shoot projectiles, cubes that grow bigger and stomp around, or just slide and move and deal damage and stuff like that. So we'll have to see. So my hope is now if I don't provide a shape, like I do now, it should just spawn in front of the enemy. Okay, they do. But now there's no delay. So I do have to make a shape for it, which is fine. You know, I'm feeling juicy. I think I can do this in 10 minutes. So let's give it a go. Let's go into our projectile data. Eventually we have our shapes. Right above. So we'll say f spawn shape I don't know if I want to call it line fragment, but we'll do that. So spawn radius is a thing. We're going to need maybe a flag or a boolean. Grab this. We'll say bool b use instigator actor forward false, and I will say and here and then f vector on direction. And then essentially in our subsystem, we should be able to then kind of do this. Where we say we don't have to do any kind of complicated stuff here. Could instantiate them all like this, honestly. Here, we go like this. Turn. And we change this shape. Might make some bread. Oh, sorry. So you thought about making one of those friend slap games? No. No, I want to just make games that I feel like I want to be playing, you know? I'm a big fan of like Hades and roguelikes and stuff like that, so I want to give my shot at it. Mecha Chameleon. It is a big game, you know. Those seem like fun too, but it's not my cup of tea. Might make some bread, yeah. Well, luckily I have a full-time job, so I don't need to rely on this part of my life for income. I'm your only viewer, man. What the hell? Well, we still got Talos just chilling. And, you know, I don't mind people just watching and lurking. You know, I appreciate you chatting, hanging out with me. It's no worries either way. If I could finish some of the work and make the Niagara chain, I will share what I am currently doing on Discord. Oh, that would be awesome. I would love to see some of that. Chill, chill, chill. We get Chill Bill Volume 2. Okay, so we can say something along the lines of up here. So we would say spawn position equals, or I have to say at vector spawn position equals, and then we have to say current fragment dot use instigator actor forward. And then we say, if it's true, we say instigator dot get. I don't know, can you so can you do a tertiary inside of a tertiary? Been doing mad interviews, nobody want me. You'll get there. I know the job market fucking sucks right now, so just try not to let it bring you down too much, you know. Half of the interview shit is just like AI filtering things out, you know. So what am I saying? Spawn position equals get actor forward. If so, I guess I should make a spawn direction here first. So f vector equals spawn dot get equal that. Otherwise, do current fragment dot direction. Spawn origin, we don't need that. So spawn position now should be, hey, do we want to use the spawn actor forward? And I guess actually this could be moved here, right? Well, how do I want to write this? Yeah, I agree. You know, having people to stream to and kind of just streaming, having any kind of routine helps a lot to stay motivated. So what am I wanting to say? Like, I would have to assume, I mean, do I even want to do anything if not instigator dot is valid return? Maybe I don't have to do these checks or if he's valid or not, so I can just say this. So that or that one direction, and then we say f vector. I mean, this is spawn direction, right? Then we say spawn position equals s. That and then like that, right? So I hope that's valid. And if this works, then we're good. It's like, I remember when I was first starting out, I couldn't find a job either. Like, I was right out of school, so take that with a grain of salt. It was 2000. I graduated around 2012, 2013, something like that, from college. And you know, for a long time I couldn't get a job, so I was working tech support, like over the phone for like AT&T, doing, you know, the troubleshooting for TV, internet, cell phone, home phone, stuff like that. So while I was doing that job, when I was back home after work, I would be working on tutorials with Unreal Engine 3, UDK, and kind of building up, hopefully what I was hoping for, a portfolio, online presence, because back then, especially, there wasn't a lot of tutorials at all. So I think I found a nice little niche. And so I did that when I would be off of work. Not as much as I should have. You know, I definitely limited myself to like Kismet scripting at that time. And then Unreal Engine 4 came out, and that's when blueprints became a thing. And so I started learning a lot more about blueprints. And there was some DNA of Kismet, so it wasn't like a foreign concept to me at that point. So, but I kept going. I kept trying to learn. And then eventually, you know, people found me via my YouTube channel. And so I did a Kickstarter for Aquanox. I helped script some of the stuff for the trailer. And then basically they said, well, basically I said, if you are funded, could I get a job? And they said, sure. And so the Kickstarter was successful. And the rest is history, I guess. I moved to Serbia, worked there for a few years, and then eventually got hired from People Can Fly, moved to Poland, stayed with People Can Fly for a few years, and then got hired over at CD Projekt Red, and now I'm here. I did, I think, about 4 years in Serbia, and then 3.5 years at People Can Fly, and now I'm almost at 4. I'm at 3.5 years at CD Projekt. It'll be 4 years in September. And as you can see, I'm still trying to learn, trying to do better, try to keep pushing myself to continue learning so that I can be more efficient at work, and try to help others at work as well. But you know, you see me struggling, and you know, it's tough. But I think I'm getting better. Okay, so we see that nothing's spawning. What did I do wrong? Oh, I didn't plug anything in. Whoopsie. So there's the guy, right? So shooting 20 projectiles like that, right? So that works. I'm happy about that. Just as a fun test here, there is no end to learning in software. That's a billion times true. We're already seeing it with Unreal. So, you know, if blueprints do become deprecated and we do see a bigger push in the AAA and indie space for reverse and stuff, we're gonna have to learn that, right? Or, you know, you move over to Godot or some other engine, you're gonna have to learn that. And that's not a bad thing. You should always be learning, like I say. You should always try to push yourself and try to do different stuff. So do as I say and not as I do, you know. So let's see now. I just want to see if homing will work with this setup. I want to just test all these different types of configurations and just see how it goes. Started working retail when I turned 16 for 11 months, and I quit to work construction for like the next 4 to 5 years, which sucked because it was outside hot sale in a warehouse, and now no job. But the construction was great money, 25 an hour. That's solid as fuck, dude. And manual labor sucks, retail sucks. It seems like you really got a taste of everything. Yeah, so see, now we have homing. So that looks pretty cool. Like when I had to work in tech support, you know, it was rough. I wonder if I can make this like half the speed and just see if I can get them to chase me. And I believe it. Yeah, I do dot threshold. I do timeout. Can I make the timeout -1? Did I do a check for that? I don't know. We're going to find out. Yeah, it's definitely better to work indoors than it is outdoors, so don't blame me for that one. That seems to work fine. But yeah, 18 years old, $20 an hour, dude. Like, my first job, technically, I was working in that warehouse with my dad. I was working somewhere in New Jersey with like a bunch of Haitian workers. but I was too young to work any of the machinery, so I was just organizing closets. Ah. I gotta sneeze. Okay. So we got everything working. I just want to, just for my own sanity, I just want to look at what one projectile looks like when it's homing like this. It's fine. Cool. So since we have homing, how old am I now? I'm 34. Gonna be 35 in November. So now we have our async task. So I like that. Create spawn shape fragment single, which is more or less what we just did. I don't know if we want to do a spawn shape fragment where we are always aiming towards a target. So I'll just add it. Aim towards target. We added our events, but we're not really calling them, so I'll just change this to say send gameplay events for projectiles. The big 34 thought we were the same age. I just turned 21. Damn. People do say I look young, I guess, but when you look at me closely, you'll see the pain in my eyes to see that I'm in my 30s. So what if projectiles follow the first shot like a snake instead of being aimbotted in a circle? Would be tough, low key. That's pretty interesting. I think we could make that work, where we can say spawn projectiles in shape, and the shape is snake. And so basically we could, on the first projectile, construct it like normal, but then all consecutive ones have an added homing fragment. And they use the homing target as the first projectile. And the root component of the homing projectile, so they would all home and follow it. Maybe it would need a very strong thing, but yeah, I think homing would cause them to accelerate through it, so maybe that won't work. Yeah, I'm trying to think how that could work, honestly. Seems like a cool idea, but like, yeah, the homing would just be, I think it would make it accelerate too much. We could try and see if homing gets us the results, but I feel like it just needs to, like, all the consecutive ones have to, like, kind of, it's like, by the time that, unless like each one is just homing to the previous, maybe. Because, you know, if after like 3 projectiles, if the one's going to still home towards the first one, it's not going to follow the exact same path. So yeah, because yeah, the alternative is just to have, you know, on tick, unfortunately, you know, have the first projectile store store the array of positions, and then the other ones just follow it. So I'll have to look into it and do some research. Seems fun. We'll have to see. So yeah, we've been streaming close to 2 hours, so I think that's where we're gonna call it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Odium, thanks for chatting with me. Talos, thanks for hanging out as well. For anyone else watching, if you're watching from Twitch, make sure to follow. If you're watching from YouTube, make sure to subscribe, join our Discord, hang out, share your work, grow, develop, all that good stuff. I'll be gone this weekend. We won't be streaming on Sunday, so we'll probably be back on Tuesday next week. So until then, enjoy your weekend, be safe, have fun, and I will see you soon.